What's up everybody, Chris coming to you from Salty Island, and this month we are doing a community battle report for Age of Sigmar. If you're a fan of Sigmar or any of the content that we do, hit that like so we know to keep doing more of it, and maybe even a sub if you want to see more narrative battle reports. Now let's take a look at the game today. In the realm of beasts, Gur, there are both powerful and terrible creatures that walk the lands. In a realm full of monsters and danger, resources such as water are of vital importance, and this arcane pool holds both the promise of survival and the hint of an arcane mystery within. Two wandering warbands have stumbled upon this arcane pool and seek to control it for vastly different reasons. A faction from the Cities of Sigmar, the Imperishable Legion, are looking for a place to begin their settlement, and these ruins would make an ideal spot in this dangerous terrain. And on the other side, a wandering band of Khorne Deamons led by the Bloodthirster, the Soul Flayer, and their mortal slaves are drawn to the pool's arcane energy, looking to corrupt it, as the Blood God hates those who wield the tricksy winds of magic. We're playing at 600 points today, the same as the starter boxes for Age of Sigmar, and in this custom mission, the scoring is quite simple. 2 points at the end of your turn if you control the arcane pool by having the most models within 3 inches of the terrain piece, and 1 additional point for each enemy unit you kill. And today we've got Anthony from Las Vegas Age of Sigmar scene over at the Salty HQ, so let's go over the armies in today's game.
Are you ready?
Alright, go for it.
Alright, so I brought Cities of Sigmar today, Living City. This is the Imperishable Legion. They're more of a desert legion than a tree-happy legion. As you see, no Stormcast Dragons, no Fulminators. This is Cities of Sigmar.
Whoa, called out.
So we have the General. He is a Free Guild General on Griffin. He has the Iron Oak Artisan for the command trait. And his artifact is the Spear of the Hunt. So basically what they do, Spear of the Hunt gives him an additional rend on his melee weapons. And when he charges, he fights at the start of the combat phase. And his command trait gives him +1 to save, as well as +1 to wound on one of his melee weapons, which is the sword. Alongside him, we have his trusty Sorceress. She brought Cage of Thorns. Basically, it's a spell with an 18. D6 mortal wounds to a unit the first time they move, and it halves their movement characteristic, which is really good. In front of her trusty Bleakswords, and then a unit of Shadow Warriors to fill out the list up to 600.
What's good, and this is Chris here from Salty Island, you know who I am, and I am bringing Blades of Khorne once again. This time I'm trying out a demon heavy list. We are led by the Bloodthirster of Insensate Rage. That's the one that has exploding 6s on the wound that deals mortal wounds everywhere. You know it, you love it. It's got the artifact, the Harvester of Skulls, giving it +1 attack, and it's got the command trait Slaughterborn. That lets it reroll all the hits so that we can optimize the Bloodthirster. And then in the battle line, we've got 3 of them. We have the Bloodletters, 10-man unit, Blood Reavers, 10-man unit, and 5 Fleshhounds. So, this is what we're running today. We'll see how this goes. The Cities of Sigmar force gets the first turn, with both players rolling for the bonus command point. Sorceress fails, but the Bloodthirster succeeds. The Sorceress begins the game by casting Mystic Shield to improve the saves on the Bleakswords, and with that, the entire army advances forward, laying claim to the arcane pool while the unit of Shadow Warriors still holds off the table, hidden in the shadows of Gur, waiting for an opportune moment to appear. And with that, Cities of Sigmar are on the board, first 2 points of the game. And in the hero phase, both the Bloodthirster and the General on Griffin fail for the roll for the bonus command point. Khorne is here for only one thing, and it's not spellcasting, so straight to the movement phase we go. Blood Reavers advance forward on the bottom end, while up at top, the Bloodletters, the Fleshhounds both reposition and begin to surround the worshippers of Sigmar. The Bloodthirster himself looms over the lesser demons, ensuring that his will be done as we go into the critical roll for who gets to act first in turn 2. And at the end of the first round, Cities of Sigmar have a slight lead with the score being 2-0. Rolling off for the vital first turn, the anger of Khorne bursts forth, and the dreaded double turn happens. Both the Bloodthirster and the Sorceress succeed at getting the bonus command point. The Fleshhounds and Bloodletters break from behind their cover, while the Reavers move forward onto the objective. As the Bleakswords see the Blood Reavers approach, the Sorceress spends her bonus command point on Redeploy, letting them take a step back, making the charge more difficult. Lastly, the Bloodthirster moves up, waiting to see if anyone will make this long charge. The Reavers know that they need at least a 7 to reach the Bleakswords. They fail at first, but a command from the Bloodthirster convinces them to try harder, and they barely make it in. Up top, the Fleshhounds also attempt to charge. They too fail the roll, but the Fury of Khorne is strong with them, and Fleshhounds naturally reroll charges, giving them just enough to get into combat. Khorne chooses the Hounds to fight first, and they pile in, getting 3 into combat, 4 attacks each. 12 attacks total, getting 4 hits, and 3 wounds. -2 to the save sees 1 Bleaksword fall. Bleakswords pile in and prepare to fight back. 6 attacks go into the Reavers, 3 into the Hounds. The attacks on the dogs miss, but the attacks on the Reavers, 7 attacks, with 6s generating an extra hit. They get 6 hits with 2 wounds, which sees 2 of the Reavers fall. The Reavers then activate. Currently they are just outside of the 3-inch combat range of the Griffin, and they very much do not want to drag him into combat. In order to keep the unit coherency and avoid having to pile in closer to the Griffin, the unit opts simply to not pile in, sacrificing any extra attacks for a bit of safety. The Bleakswords declare all-out defense, and the Reavers get 2 attacks, landing 2 hits and 1 wound, but the Bleakswords fail that save, and a second model falls. The Sorceress is just in range, takes a swing at the Hounds, both hitting and wounding with a redden of 1. The Hounds fail the save, and the Sorceress deals an impressive 3 wounds from her attack, killing one of the Hounds and putting a wound on the second. Hounds have leadership 10, so they can't fail Battleshock. However, the Reavers are leadership 5, and having lost 2 models, they opt to spend their last command point for Inspiring Presence to automatically pass the test so that no models flee. Bleakswords, on the other hand, they're made of sterner stuff. They pass the Battleshock test on their own. And at the end of the turn, the Reavers are securing the objective, scoring 2 points for Khorne, going into turn 2 for Cities of Sigmar. Cities of Sigmar turn 2. In the hero phase, the Sorceress kills one of the Bleakswords, empowering her next spell, giving it +2 on the casting roll. Casting Cage of Thorns on the Bloodthirster, this goes off on an 11, and even with trying to deny from Khorne's hate, it fails and vines sprout from around the Bloodthirster, cutting his movement speed in half and threatening mortal wounds if he chooses to move. The Griffin takes flight, moving up to the top half of the table, while the Sorceress and the Bleakswords fall back out of combat to play a more defensive game. Lastly, slipping onto the battlefield, the Shadow Warriors appear on the back end of the table, drawing line of sight to the Bloodthirster. We've now got a shooting phase. The Shadow Warriors declare all-out attack, improving their hit roll to 2s and their wound to 4s. 10 shots, get 7 hits, and 4 wounds at -1 Ren. 3 saves from the Bloodthirster though, lands a single wound on him. The charge phase is huge as the Griffin spends a command point for Rousing Battle Cry. It's an aura effect that adds 1 to charge rolls and its hit rolls. The Griffin rolls a massive 13-inch charge, giving him all sorts of options. He chooses to land right on the objective, engaging both the Hounds and the Reavers. The Griffin gets a monstrous Rampage action, choosing to stomp on the Reavers, crushing 3 of them below his claws. Then the Griffin and the Rider gets their attacks. The General's sword hacks into the Reavers and the Griffin's claws and beak tear into the Fleshhounds. It's not even close. It's a blender of multi-wound attacks as the Free Guild General and his Griffin make short work of both the Hounds and the Reavers, leaving him in sole control of the Arcane Pond, and bringing the game score at the end of turn 2, Cities of Sigmar 6, Blades of Khorne 2. In turn 3, the roll is a tie, which means tiebreaker goes to the person who went first last turn. Khorne is pleased. Both the Griffin and the Bloodthirster declare finest hour in preparation for the great showdown, and the Bloodthirster's movement, still restricted by Cage of Thorns, moves 5 inches up, and then takes 2 mortal wounds as he prepares for the charge. The Bloodletters follow their larger kin. Everyone's now ready for glorious melee combat. The Griffin spends his command point for Redeploy, making the charge 4 inches harder for everyone. And with no shooting, we go straight to the charge phase. The Bloodthirster spends a command point for Bloodthirsty Charge. This allows all Khorne Deamons within 16 inches to reroll their charges. Unfortunately, 2 failed charge rolls on the Bloodletters leave them out of combat. Then a 3-inch charge on the Bloodthirster sees him barely reach the combat that he casually strolls on into. Both the Bloodthirster and the Griffin declare Titanic Duel, giving them +1 on their hit rolls. And as well, at the start of the combat phase, the Griffin spends the command point for Feral Roar. This is the General's Handbook Season Special Command for fighting while in the realm of Gur. This allows the Griffin to fight at its highest profile regardless of the number of wounds it's taken. The Bloodthirster unleashes his rage, 6 attacks with his artifact weapon, and full rerolls on the hit roll thanks to his command trait. 6 attacks, lands the big 6 hits, and then 6 wounds, with 2 of them being 6s. This triggers outrageous carnage. Each 6 deals 4 mortal wounds in addition to its normal damage to every unit within 8 inches. The Griffin manages to make 4 of the saves, but the last 2 deal d6 wounds each, sticking 9 wounds total. That's a total of 17 wounds. Instead of dying, the new Cities of Sigmar mount trait, Soaring Guardians, triggers. This allows the Griffin to be removed from the battlefield and then redeployed more than 9 inches away from any enemy models, and then it heals d3 wounds. This saves the General's life, as he clearly has taken on more than he bargained for. He doesn't even get to fight back this turn, but he's ready to try it again next turn. However, having chased the Free Guild General and his Griffin away from the objective, the Khorne Deamons are clearly in control, bringing the score back to 6-4. Turn 3 for Cities of Sigmar. In the hero phase, the Bloodthirster and the Griffin both use Heroic Recovery, both successfully making the check. The Bloodthirster heals 3, going back to full health, and the Griffin heals 2, giving him a little bit more life back. The Sorceress kills another model to empower her spell, this time casting Chill Wind, dealing 2 mortal wounds to the Bloodthirster, and giving him a -1 to hit in close combat. Everyone moves up, closing in on the pool as the Shadow Warriors fire their bows into the Bloodletters. 10 shots, do 6 hits, and 3 wounds, felling 3 of the Bloodletters. The Griffin charges back into combat, ready for revenge, and both the Bloodthirster and the Griffin declare Titanic Duel. The Griffin spends the command point again for Feral Roar to fight at full strength, and the Bloodthirster responds with all-out defense. The Griffin has tons of attacks. 5 sword attacks, pushing 4 wounds through, 2 beak attacks that both are defended against, and then 6 claws that get 6 wounds through onto the Bloodthirster. The Bloodthirster has taken 12 wounds total this round. He's alive but barely. Enraged, the Bloodthirster swings back. He still has 5 attacks, landing 4 hits and 3 wounds. The Griffin sticks all 3 saves, having learned from their last encounter, defiantly standing on the objective, holding his ground. Lastly, in the Battleshock phase, the Bloodletters banner triggers on a roll of a 1 during the test. The blood spilt from all of the battles resummons 3 Bloodletters to the unit, bringing it back to full strength. And at the end of the turn, Cities of Sigmar have more models near the pool, and they add to their score, bringing it back 8 points to 4. In the 4th round, Cities of Sigmar win the crucial roll, returning the favor of the double turn back to the Khorne Deamons. The Sorceress has now slain more of her own allies than the demons have, but it is effective, as Chill Wind goes off, taking the last 2 wounds from the Bloodthirster, and the Cities of Sigmar force reposition themselves, ready to defend their gains, as arrows rain down on the Bloodletters, slaying 3 of them. A final charge into glorious melee combat watches the Shadow Warriors and the Griffin banish the last of Khorne's minions from the battlefield. The Cities of Sigmar forces breathe a sigh of relief as the sorceress begins to inspect the pool to unlock the arcane mysteries it holds. This will make a fine base camp, and perhaps even a worthy start to a new settlement now that it has been cleansed of Khorne's presence. Final score of the game is 12-4. Big shout out to Anthony for coming over to the Salty HQ to play a game, and for bringing his beautiful Cities of Sigmar army, the Imperishable Legion. Hit that subscribe button as we will be doing a close-up look at this army, and we don't want you to miss out on that. Hit the like button if you want to see more Age of Sigmar, and send us an email if you want to come over and play a game, Age of Sigmar 40k or whatever you're feeling. But most importantly, we want to say thank you to everyone for checking this video out. Please stay safe everyone, and peace out.